How do I get a house in Korea? The minimum would be like $10,000. Do you have $300,000? You have to think like why it's newly decorated. What I would check is bathroom. Guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Dan in Korea. This is actually my second take because it was out of focus. I'm very sad. And today I have my special guest. Ta-da!
Hi.
This is David.
Hello.
He speaks fluent English, so I thought it'd be nice. I kind of forced him to be on my channel. We're having a gathering with a friend, but we had some time left. So recently, my video of my house tour got kind of viral. Well, it's viral for my channel. It had a lot of views, and a lot of people have been asking like, you know, like how do I get a house in Korea? And I thought like as a foreigner living in a foreign country, it's always hard to like look for a place to live in. You don't know if you're paying the right price and you don't know like what to check. So I thought it'd be nice to like make a video on like how to find the house in Korea. So there are several different ways to like find a place in Korea. The most common way would be rent. Yeah. Because most people like, you know, find rent. And as a foreigner, I think that's like the most like reasonable option. And the second option is Jeonse, which is kind of like a Korean leasing system. So it's weird, but we're gonna be talking about that a bit later. I'm actually here with Jeonse, and I actually talked about it in my old video, so you guys can check that out. Also, third way would be buying a house, but I don't think I can buy a house for now. I don't know if that's an option for you guys, but I'm not an expert on that, so I'm gonna skip that. And also, there's like share houses. So I'm gonna be talking about the three things. The most common one is rent, but let's talk about Jeonse first, because Jeonse is like a Korean leasing system. You pay a big deposit, and you get the money back at the end of the contract, usually from like 50 to 80% of the price of the house. So for example, if this house is like $400,000, for Jeonse you pay like $300,000 and you get it back at the end of the contract. But like, who has like $300,000? Do you have $300,000?
I don't.
I don't. So usually people get a loan from the bank. So I got a loan from the bank, and the interest rate is much lower than what I would pay for rent. So that's why it's really nice. Like you can stay in a big apartment but pay a little bit because, you know, the interest rate is very low. But I don't know if it's an option for foreigners. Can foreigners can like get the Jeonse loan?
If you work, you might be able to, but if you're a student, it will be very hard.
So unless like you have this option, I don't think Jeonse could be an option for you, because like even for like a studio apartment in Seoul, to get a Jeonse, it starts from like $70,000. So if you have like some cash, like, you know, in your account, and you don't want to pay monthly, because Jeonse is nice because you don't have to pay monthly rent. So if you have like some savings, you can consider Jeonse. And the most common way would be rent. The thing about like rent in Korea is like you pay a lot of deposit. Like from my experience when I was abroad, like you only pay like 3 months of rent
2 to 3
for like deposit. But in Korea you pay a lot. Like for Seoul, the minimum would be like $10,000.
You have to at least consider.
At least consider. Like there are some places that has like 5,000 or less, but usually like that'll be like not in a good area, or you pay a lot of like rent. How much did you use? Like did you pay?
I had 10,000 deposit and 470 for rent.
But that was like a really small, like
it was very small.
It was like a studio apartment. But these days, I think even for a studio apartment, like the rent really gets expensive.
It is.
It varies really, like depending on the area and like the type of the house also, right? For example, like I'm living in an 아파트. We call it 아파트, which is basically an apartment. Usually like very nice, like the facility is nice, it's spacious, and there's like a security guard and stuff, but it's expensive.
It is.
And the utilities are really expensive because like you have to pay for like the security guard, the elevator, the underground parking lot. There are office sales, which is kind of similar to like 아파트. It could be used for like an office also, right? But they're also kind of pricey, right?
They are.
For like a studio apartment in an office sale in Seoul, I think these days the rent would start from like 600, 700,000 won.
At least.
And the deposit would usually start from like 10,000.
For office though, it's like
$10,000.
These days.
Oh really?
Yeah, there's no 10,000.
Oh my god. If you want to find a rent in Korea, you have to remember that the deposit will be expensive.
Yes.
Seoul. Cuckoo. So the prices really depend on like the area and the type of the apartment, like we said. So you need to decide which area you want to stay in, because
Right.
depending on the area, the vibe is really different.
Very different.
So it would really depend on like your vibe, like your lifestyle and your school or work. I'm gonna talk about that like in another video. But if you decide on like an area like you want to stay in, like go to a local real estate agency and just say, this is my budget. Like I have this much deposit and this much rent, and they will kind of like show you like different places. But in my experience, they always show you the shitty apartment first. Right?
True.
Like you're like, oh, what? Like for this price, like I can only stay here. And then they like kind of show you nicer ones, and you feel like, oh my god, these are so nice. I want to stay there. That's what they usually do. So don't fall for it. I recommend like to check several agencies and several like apartments. I checked like 20 before I found mine. What should you check like when you look for a place? Like when you look for a place to rent?
You gotta check the water running.
Oh yeah, the water running. Like when I was moving here, I didn't check the water running, and like I was like shocked by the view and like how big the apartment was, but I didn't check the water, and like it's like sunlight.
Definitely.
Like make sure to check, like come during daytime and nighttime, and also to like see if it's loud during the night, because there could be a lot of bars around. When I look for a place, I always try to like find a place that's like in a walking distance with a station, because that's like really important.
You could refresh your room if there's a window. And
the window, and if the air flows well,
right.
because that's really important also. And also, if the apartment is like newly decorated, don't think it's like, oh wow, it's nice, it's new. Like you have to think like why it's newly decorated.
Right.
Like sometimes there could be problems, like there could be mold, like there's no like sunlight, so there could be mold on the wall. You need to ask them, like, you know, to be frank. Like,
you gotta ask them if the room was empty for a long time or not.
Oh yeah, if it was empty for a long time, usually there's a reason. So you gotta check this, and you gotta check like if it's like soundproof. Because kind of like, these days there's a big issue in Korea, because like there are like people killing each other because of noises between houses. So you need to check those also.
You gotta check if its neighborhood is safe or not.
Oh yeah, if it's a safe area. So try to like come during the night and the daytime also, and see like how close it is to like public transportation.
You gotta look for police patrol.
Police patrol.
If you're concerned about the safety, if you just wander around that area at night, if you see some police like going around for patrols, it's a safe area. So
that's actually,
if you want to check that,
and see if there are like facilities you need like near the place. Like we need gym, gym, or like supermarket, or like convenience stores, small restaurants to eat. So you need to check these, like Starbucks. You can make coffee at home. Actually, a lot of people ask me, like my friend asked me recently, if she's paying the right fee to the real estate agency, because she thought it was a lot. There's actually a fixed price, like depending on how much the apartment is, like there's a
percentage of
a percentage that you pay. There's a way to calculate. I'm gonna look for it. I'm gonna like leave it down here so you guys know. If it's registered as a house, it's actually cheaper, but if it's registered as like an office, it's actually more expensive.
Oh really?
Yeah, the real estate agent's fee. So that was the issue with my friend recently. But if you're unsure, always go with the Korean, because that's like safer. What I would check is the bathroom.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of like buildings are like old. Like the buildings I stayed in, like when I was living in like a small apartment, I was staying like these old buildings usually because the rent is much cheaper. But the toilets are always the problem.
Yes.
Like it's like so cold during the winter, and sometimes it smells because it's old. So you need to check like if the water is flowing well, and if it doesn't smell, and whether it's cold or not. And also if there's a fan in the toilet.
Yeah.
If there's a fan in the toilet, usually like you can keep it dry.
Yeah.
But if not, like it could get really wet.
If there's a window, that's the best, but that's not common.
Yeah.
So you gotta check the heat conditioning.
Oh yeah.
Because in winter, Korea is very cold.
Oh yeah, like you gotta check the heating system, but also like the window.
Yeah.
These days, like the new buildings, they have like these windows that seal. So it kind of
Oh.
like trap the temperature, like the warmth, and the,
Yeah.
if you put air conditioning on, like the coolness in. But I stayed in this old apartment, and the windows were like wooden windows, and I paid so much for like the heating system and air
Right.
conditioning because all the temperature was like just going out.
You
Like,
need an
I
extra
couldn't
credit
keep
for
the
that, yeah.
warmth in. To like, you know, put it in short, if you're looking to rent an apartment, you need to prepare, I think, minimum of $10,000
Yeah.
for deposit, and the rent, depending on the area, but on average, I think it starts from like 500,000 won, like $500 to more. If you want to stay in an office hotel, you usually go from 700 to like $1,000, I think, these
Yeah,
days
it's
for
expensive,
office
yeah.
hotel, and it really depends on the area. So you need to like kind of consider those. For me, like if I'm a foreigner, like living here, I think I would also consider share houses.
Oh yeah.
Because there are a lot of share houses these days, like in Korea, especially near like universities. So if you are a student, you can consider like share houses. I mean, like you have to share with other people, but
Right.
usually it's like, it's a big apartment. The facility is usually nice. And you know, you don't have to worry about like the deposit too much,
Yeah, and the rent.
or like the rent, or like the utilities. It's all like a fixed price, so you can consider share houses when you first come here.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of look for other options. And there's also like, this is, I don't know if you can call it a share house, but there's a thing called like Goshiwon,
Oh, that's a,
Goshite.
you don't want to recommend that place though.
But actually, like in like a long corridor, there are like mini rooms. It's like mini rooms. Like there's a bed and there's a desk and there's a closet. But that's like basically it.
But I don't want to put it this way, but it's like a cell, but you're free.
Yeah.
But you're free.
I actually stayed in one of those when I was like in university for a few months because I wanted to be like near school. So from my bed, I could actually reach the desk.
Oh.
It has a mini fridge, and mine had like a shower booth,
Yeah, yeah.
but I had to pay extra, like 100,000 won extra for like a shower booth within the room. And you share like the kitchen area and the bathroom and the toilet. And they actually provide like rice, ramen, and eggs. Usually, like,
If the owner is really nice.
but usually they have rice and ramen.
Really?
Yeah, and kimchi.
Oh.
Usually. You know, like it's like a thin wall dividing all the rooms, so you can actually hear everything. Hear like people sneezing, watching TV.
Literally everything.
Like, but like you're not gonna like hear any like funny businesses because like you're not allowed to have guests, so you can't invite your friends. But usually you don't pay deposit, and
Yeah, yeah.
the prices go from like 300, I think. Like cheap ones would be like 200 something, but usually it's like 300 something. I pay like 400,000 won,
Yeah.
but I didn't have to pay any deposit, and it was like in the middle of like this busy street.
Right.
So I was always like drinking and going up and drinking and going up, and it was really near my school. So it's an option, but I don't recommend it because it's like the quality of your life living gets really low. Like you feel like you're suffocating because the room is so tiny.
Yeah.
When you're coming to Korea, like for the first time, or you like want to stay for a long time, don't look for an apartment before you come. I think you should come and like stay in like an Airbnb or like these like temporary stays, and then like actually go to real estate agencies
Yeah.
to like look for a house.
If you go to find a room from a real estate office, don't tell them, like, don't show them that you like this room.
Oh yeah, don't
Just pretend that you're like, I'm cool with it, like,
Yeah.
okay.
in the beginning, like pretend like you're not really interested.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, oh yeah, maybe I'll consider. And you can actually sometimes negotiate the price.
Yeah.
Like for example,
At the
like
spot.
I actually raised my deposit to pay like less rent.
Yeah, that
like
could
you
work.
can do that, but I don't know if they will do it. But you can actually do this. So these are like basically the things you can check before looking for an apartment. I don't think I have like covered everything, but you can kind of like have a rough idea of what to do when you look for an apartment. Go with a Korean if you can. Go to the real estate agency of the area you want to live in, and check as many houses as you can, and make a checklist. Take your time to decide. Like don't take like a few weeks, but like take like a few
Really
days
take
to
your
decide,
time.
because once you like put the contract money in, you can't get it back.
Yeah.
So how much is the contract money? Is it 10%?
It was actually It was like 5% for me.
5%, okay, like something like that. And if you're not sure, and if you're like coming here for the first time, stay in like these share houses or temporary stays, and then find a Korean to go with you.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, that'll be really nice.
Yay!
I'm gonna like make several videos on this, like on like which area to stay, like what to check. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you, David, for being my guest. 감사합니다.
You're welcome.
For joining. See you next time. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I'll definitely reply everything. Bye.